And with Booster, everything is easier in a lot. It's a lot easier than using other kind of platforms.
So for those of you who don't know what Booster is, it essentially is a framework that takes your application, analyzes the code, infers the infrastructure that you will need, and it will deploy it to AWS with serverless resources, with pay-on-demand resources that will be free if you don't use them, and if you have the free tier of AWS, it will be free as well. And you don't have to be managing like the glue code, the servers, the databases, controller, whatever. You just write the important code for your application, and Booster handles the rest. So let's go for it. Hello, what's going on, everyone? Today we're having a very interesting interview with Adrian Lorenzo. He is a developer for the Mayday messaging app, which is an application that we did at the Agile Monkeys to just send the important messages. In fact, you can just send one message to notify someone about something urgent, and they can reply back with also one message. And the cool part about this is that they recently switched from Firebase to Booster, the project that I'm working and contributing in open source. So today we'll be talking about that switch, what are the differences between Firebase, Booster, and what are the experience that Adrian has had. So hello, Adrian, how's it going down?
Hi, hello everyone.
So, well, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience as a developer, like the project that you're working from your perspective?
Well, currently, like you say, I'm working as a software developer here at the Agile Monkeys, which I'm very happy to be at. But before that, I just started 4 years ago my degree on computer engineering, which I was very pleased to learn a lot of things. I was specialized on computation in specific. I did a lot of things and research about machine learning and artificial intelligence, but I'm really into everything related to software engineering too, and that's why I'm doing here at the Agile Monkeys. And I don't have like a lot of experience. My path here is really short, but I have worked in some side projects with some colleagues at university. I have done a lot of hackathons and worked on projects related to sentimental analysis of text and sort type of things. And now on the Agile Monkeys, I am working on Mayday, which, like you said, is an app for urgent messaging, a mobile app for urgent messaging, which wants to deliver a tool for everyone to improve their digital life by having those notifications, those messages that are important on the important side of your digital life, and to avoid those things that are not really that important to pay attention to. And that's Mayday, and that's where I'm working on really.
Yeah, so like who didn't get a message from their mom at 4 a.m. saying, hey, look at this picture of the cat that I just found on Facebook.
Yeah, that's something that we at the Agile Monkeys have experienced, and in my family, my friends have experienced a lot. And not only people that talk to you, but just other systems or enterprises that with their products wants to give you, oh hey, you have some mentions that we think you might like to, or hey, this one has started using Facebook or Instagram, you might want to check their account. And that type of notification distracts for doing the important things in your life, and not only work, but enjoying the things that really matter in your life, like going take a walk or start talking with friends about interested things, reading, watching movies, that kind of things that are more important in your life than taking a look to notifications or things that you really no matter and didn't expect it to be paying attention of. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, like regarding getting more in the technical part and stuff, like why did you choose Firebase in the beginning of the project and not something like Ruby on Rails, Node.js, and no Haskell or whatever?
Well, that's a really easy question to answer, because when you want to deliver technology to users, when you want to deliver something that you might think that can help someone to improve their life, you always want to validate the ideas first, because you have the idea in your mind, but maybe it's not like you thought it will be for this society. So you want to deliver something quickly and reliable, but the most important thing, quickly. And when you start looking at alternatives and all the immense amount of technologies that exist right now, you see that there are many, many good technologies, but you need to focus on the ones that help you to deliver something quickly and with good quality. And among all the alternatives, we saw that Firebase was the one who had a very small curve of learning curve, and it has great support from an amazing team at Google, a great community who is using Firebase every day. And it was no sense for us to not choose something like Firebase. And yeah, they provided a great SDK, a great platform to deploy our project. So it was a really easy to choose platform.
Yeah, I completely agree with that part because like nowadays when I start a project about whatever, even like pet projects, side projects, whatever, um, it's like okay, now I have to make a web server and now I have to add authentication to it and now I have to configure the endpoints and it's like always repeating the same stuff and I understand like how good how a great job that Ruby on Rails and Django and frameworks like that did because they abstracted a lot, but still like there's still a bit some stuff that it can be abstracted more, and I can see like the value of Firebase as you're saying and using it in that way.
Yeah, and when you start working on a project that has amazing ideas, amazing features to deliver to the user, you don't want to pay attention to infrastructure stuff, boilerplate stuff. It's like you have amazing ideas to implement, but you have to dedicate a lot of time to things that really are not different from other implementations of another ideas. And that's something that for a project that wants to deliver something quickly and to test, to experiment, is really something that wastes their time a lot and don't help to develop something that really help people, because we know there's a lot of technologies. They make huge improvements to those applications that are right now in the market and have ton of users, but we don't have that ton of users because we have started right now, and we want to have these users. But first, we want to generate something valuable, and that's what it is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like we developers, well, we like to develop and we sometimes get lost in these things, but like the end point of this, like the main goal is, hey, we have a problem to solve, and in the same way that a plumber comes to your house and looks at the water pipes and you tell them, hey, well, you have to fix this in this way, and he says, no, I actually have just to turn this thing over here and it's fixed. I don't have to build anything. But we, for some reason, developers like to build stuff. But but yeah, like you tell that Firebase is amazing, but like all technologies have flaws and have something bad. And can you share like some pain points with using Firebase?
Well, using Firebase was really fine when we had a good performance, but that's not the thing that we had every time. I mean, as an MVP, we don't need a really good performing app, a good performant product to deliver, but we need something reliable and something that the user is really pleased to use. If you don't deliver that kind of experience, the test and the validation we're doing is not valid because we are not delivering the minimum experience that the user expects. And when using functions, the Firebase functions, we experience some performance degrades that we did not experience in the past when using AWS lambdas, and that really make an impact on the app performance. So we started getting worried about if our decision was the good one to deliver that kind of experiences that we wanted to. So at first, yes, it was really easy to implement, but has those caveats. On the other side, when you start to use Firebase, you see that it's a really opinionated piece of collection of tools that want you to build things in that way that they want to do. It does not harmonize with how you want to build the software, and you want to build things in ways that are not the word that was intended. The opinionated software gets converted into a nightmare and an anti-pattern to the team who's developing the implementation. So that's something that we really reached when we started using Firebase and we started developing more and more features on Mayday.
So when you decided to use Booster, like do you like I mean you found Booster because well most of like many people in the Agile Monkeys are developing it, but like when you decided to try it and see if it fits for the project, like were you excited about something or did you find like any features that said, hey, this is very interesting for us?
Absolutely. I think that one of the most interesting things about Booster and that are really linked to the desire we have while developing Maybe is that when you write something in Booster, it's not like writing something in other frameworks that tries to do the same thing as Booster. Let me explain. When you use, for example, Ruby on Rails, you are writing code, and you then have a piece of code that really represents a business model, but sometimes is really difficult to read and does not explain by itself properly. You really need sometimes to have work with that piece of code to know what you are doing and where you are going to go with that piece of code, which are the next features that would you want to implement. With Booster, if you read our code base, you are reading a really well designed specification of our business model. And that's something for someone who wants to validate ideas and develop great features, really amazing, because you see what you're doing and you see where you're going. And anyone that joins the project to improve it can read the piece of code, read that specification, and come to conclusions fast and work better. And that's something really valuable for a team that is growing and that wants to improve their product.
That's awesome to hear, and yeah, to me, sometimes it reminds me. Well, there's this movement that have been in these last years called the no code movement, which yeah, you just write stuff. Well, you don't write stuff, you just press buttons and stuff like that. But Booster reminds me of more something like little code. Like you it's not no code, but you have to write just the needed code for your app, and I think it's pretty valuable. And you confirm that.
Yeah, and it explains really well by itself what the team is trying to deliver when they write deploy on the command line and have everything deployed on the cloud. It's like we know what is on there and we know how to manage it and how to improve it. And sometimes with other frameworks than trying to do the same thing, it's not that easy. It has a really steep learning curve and needs knowledge and experience. And that's not something that you see when you are using Booster. It's different and better, I think.
That's great, but still, like there should be some entry barriers when using Booster. Like I'm sure that like being like this new, still not very known, not much community, that there should be some entry barriers there. And do you find any of them?
Well, for example, I think that one of the most difficult things that you might have to suffer when you're using Booster, and it's not bad really, is that in our case, our project in Firebase was not even sourcing based. So I had a code base. We had a code base that was built on another architecture, and we had to make a mentality shift and think on the same project using event sourcing. That's something that even if you don't know or you know about event sourcing, can be sometimes difficult if you are not used to that kind of shifts. But I think it's really valuable to learn to do that type of things because yes, the framework is opinionated too, but the idea behind the event sourcing architecture is a great idea with really, really great ways of doing software, and it will help you to improve your own skills and to improve as a professional. So yeah, it was something to make that needed an effort, yeah, but it was not like a real pain to suffer, just something in the path to complete and to learn more about. And yeah, it's a new framework. It has its problem, but I think that the team is doing a great job. Having the opportunity to participate and to give opinions and to give ideas to the team is something really nice always. And I think that it is part of the process of building something more and more valuable, like Booster, that is valuable now, but will be more valuable in the future, I think. And it's part of the developers that are using Booster too to start experimenting those things. At the first, we had some problems on the authentication part that talking with the Booster team were solved because they see that there were more potential about doing the authentication feature using another approach. And I think that the problem was solved quickly because it was something not needed only for our team, but I think to everyone who was using Booster, and we could solve it because we were talking with the team and we solved it together. and that's great because it's part of the open source project, and it's great to see for every project to try those kind of community involved.
Yeah, that's great. And here I want to talk to our viewers or listeners, depends on what platform are you watching, listening this to. And is first of all, for those that do not know what event sourcing is, it's an approach to software where instead of mutating a database, you just store a log of all the events that have happened in your system. So instead of, for example, creating an entry in your database table and then deleting it, you will like submit two events. One is called entry created and another one is called entry deleted, and that is stored forever. But you can recreate the state at any point in time just by like reducing this list of events. And it's an approach used by many companies for maintaining like performance in high throughput days. I will leave some resources in the video description and you can read more about them over there. And also regarding the second part, which Adrian was talking, is like everyone is invited to give their opinion, to try to submit feedback for Booster, like contribute, like everything, even if it's just to come by to our Discord server and saying hi. Like everyone is super welcome, and we'd be like very glad to meet more people and help this community and this project grow, because we truly believe that it's very great, and I wholeheartedly believe it is. So thank you for your feedback in that part, Adrian. Well, you told me already like about the the advantages of Booster and like how well it fitted, but like was there this something that made you go, wow, like Mayday now is better because of this Booster feature?
Well, I think that's something that if you try to deploy a Booster app, you will see many things that will impress you, because you wouldn't think that it would be that easy. Like just doing a boost slash e deploy is, well, boost deploy slash e your environment, and just see that you have everything, every resource that your provider is offering, really well organized and well structured, to just log or take a look to what is going inside your stack is really impressive. Because I mean, for the outsiders, the idea might be really tempting, but seeing the project deployed is really an amazing experience, because you really see the effort behind the piece of code that is trying to deploy those resources, and you really remember the effort that you made in the past when you see a platform that is trying to ease the effort that developer takes when developing those projects. And it's amazing, because talking about maintaining a project, it really takes its time too, even if you are using Firebase. And with Booster, everything is easier in a lot. It's a lot easier than using other kind of platforms. And then when you say, okay, I have this backend, and now I'm going to start using it, how I can use Booster. And you see the GraphQL API that the framework has created for you to use, and how well it's integrated with all the different platforms, webs, Android, iOS. It's neat, because you don't need to start thinking about API design, and it's really well integrated with the stack that you have created. So it is it is something that we didn't need to start thinking of anymore, and that it is more effort that we can spend on the things that really matters, and that's absolutely wonderful for a project of our kind.
Yeah, that's that's one of the things that I love about Booster as well, because I always said, well, and I still say that I'm not smart enough to use like AWS services and stuff like that, because they're like their manual is so difficult for me. I'm not smart enough for that, but still, yet I had to learn them to develop Booster. So it's like, but yeah, like I really I really enjoy that part too, and I'm sure that many of our viewers, listeners are now thinking, yeah, right, that's just some lies that they are telling us. And but yeah, like I encourage everyone to try it, like at least just download the example project and do a deploy and see, like it's not a lie. It will, in fact, analyze a project and deploy it to the cloud, and it's great. I think it's a very neat feature of that. So, like, if you would have to summarize your Booster experience in a sentence, what would it be?
I think the three words I would use were efficient, simple, and wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And yeah, like as a closing thing, like, would you recommend something to our viewers related to Booster?
Yes, I want to recommend everyone who is trying or is thinking that maybe Booster is a good idea to use in their side projects, pet projects. I will say to them, just try it. Just don't be afraid about the words even sourcing, serverless, AWS. Those words are important for someone who wants to work on the core of the booster team, but the effort that that team has made to make everything easy to use is really big, and you won't see a really big amount of time spent on learning those things. And I think that you don't have to be afraid of trying it. And if you feel that you need some help, I think that the community is there to help you and to provide you with the most amazing tips that can give you. And on the other side, if you have used Booster and you think that you know more or less how Booster work, I think that it will be nice for you to take a look at some of the documentation that is on the internet about even sourcing. It is not necessary to continue working with Booster, but can give you a nice perspective about how the Booster team is trying to deliver those new features that you see every day, and to improve the way that you build your application with Booster. I think it's a nice touch to your knowledge to continue improving your application. And I recommend everyone to just read one, two articles or see a video. That maybe there are a ton of videos in YouTube or any platform to see more about even sourcing. And I think that it will help you to improve. So try it.
Great. So, thank you a lot. So, well, I think that's it. I hope you folks liked this interview and Adrian Lorenzo's thoughts about using Booster and switching to it from Firebase. And that's it. Thank you for watching, listening, and whatever you're doing right now. And see ya. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.